Look at this little capybara, round, squishy, and completely unbothered by life. Today we're going to crochet this calm little friend together, nice and slowly, just like capybara energy. And if you'd like something a little easier to follow later on, I also made a written pattern for this one, so you won't have to keep rewinding the video while crocheting. For this project, I'm using number 3 DK Perlite worsted chenille yarn with a 3.0mm hook. Alright, let's get started. Let's start crocheting the main body, beginning with the head. For round 1 of the head, start by chaining 7. Make a slip knot in whatever way feels comfortable for you. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Now, crochet 7 chains. Starting in the second chain from the hook, work 5 single crochets across. Each little V shape is 1 stitch. Here we'll only insert into the left loop of the stitch. That completes my first single crochet. You can place a stitch marker in the first stitch here. Take your time and continue working the remaining single crochets the same way. In the very last chain, work 3 single crochets into the same stitch. This step is really important because it helps the piece curve smoothly around the end instead of bunching up. After turning the piece, we'll work into the remaining loops on the other side of the chain. Along this side, crochet for single crochets. Now we're at the last stitch. Work 2 single crochets into this stitch. Once that's done, we can join with a slip stitch. Remember to pull the slip stitch a little tight. Tidy up the yarn tail a bit, and round 1 is now complete. Now we're moving into round 2. Work 6 single crochets first, then make 1 single crochet increase in the next stitch. So that's 1 set, 6 single crochets, and 1 increase. Well, repeat this set 2 times. Relax, and take your time. By the end of this round, you should have 16 stitches. Once you finish, join with a slip stitch. Round 2 is complete. Now, we're moving into round 3. Start with a single crochet increase, which means working 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Begin with a turning chain. At the start of every round, the turning chain does not count as a stitch. Then continue slowly along the stitches. Here we'll work 5 single crochets. Now we've reached one end of the oval. Here we'll make 3 single crochet increases in a row, which means working 2 single crochets into each of the next 3 stitches. This helps the piece curve smoothly around the end, so make sure not to miss any stitches. Then continue by working 5 more single crochets. For the last 2 stitches, make 1 single crochet increase in each stitch. Once you finish, join with a slip stitch. Round 3 is complete, and you should now have 22 stitches. Now we're moving into round 4. In this round, we'll increase from 22 stitches to 34 stitches. Start with a turning chain, then make 2 single crochet increases right away. Don't forget to place a stitch marker in the first increase stitch. This will mark the beginning of the round. Then continue along the stitches without increasing or decreasing. Work 5 single crochets here. Keep your hands relaxed and follow a steady rhythm. Now we've reached the curved end. Here we'll make 6 single crochet increases in a row, which means working 2 single crochets into each of the next 6 stitches. This helps the piece curve smoothly around the wider end, so make sure not to miss any stitches. Then work 5 more single crochets. You'll start to notice the oval shape getting longer now. In the remaining stitches, make 4 single crochet increases in a row. Remove the stitch marker and join to the first stitch with a slip stitch. Let's count together. This round should end with 34 stitches. The base is getting bigger and bigger now. Next are rounds 5 through 7. These 3 rounds are nice and easy. No increases and no decreases. Just work 34 single crochets in each round. At the beginning of every round, make a turning chain. It doesn't count as a stitch. And don't forget to place a stitch marker in the first stitch of each round so it's easier to keep track of your stitch count. Just follow the rhythm and crochet slowly. This part feels really relaxing. At the end of each round, always join to the first stitch with a slip stitch to keep the piece straight and even. As long as you maintain 34 stitches in every round, the oval shape will grow upward neatly, with clean edges. I'll skip ahead through the repeated parts here, so just take your time and keep going at your own pace. Starting with round 8, we're going to widen the piece a little, increasing the stitch count from 34 to 38 stitches. Begin with a turning chain. Start the round with 1 single crochet increase, which means working 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Don't forget to place a stitch marker in the first stitch. This marks the beginning of the round. Then continue without increasing or decreasing, working 12 single crochets in a row. This section is a little longer, so just count slowly and keep a steady pace. Now we've reached the first curved end. Make 1 single crochet increase here. Right after that, continue with 2 single crochets. Then make another single crochet increase here. This helps shape the top curve of the oval, so it looks softer and more rounded instead of pointy. After that, work 14 single crochets in a row. As we come back around to the starting side, make 1 single crochet increase first, then crochet 2 single crochets. You'll notice that this brings us neatly back beside the stitch marker, closing the round perfectly. Remove the stitch marker, and join to the first stitch with a slip stitch. Let's check the stitch count together. This round should end with 38 stitches. You can already see the piece getting a little wider now. That's the magic of increases. For rounds 9 through 11, begin with a turning chain and place a stitch marker in the first stitch. Then simply repeat 38 single crochets all the way around for each round. I'll skip through the repeated steps here, so just take your time and crochet at your own pace. Remember to join each round with a slip stitch. And here, we've now finished round 11. After finishing round 11, our piece is now tall enough. Starting with round 12, we'll decrease the stitch count from 38 stitches down to 32. Begin with a turning chain, then work 12 single crochets without increasing or decreasing. This section is nice and straight, so just keep a steady rhythm and crochet calmly. Now comes the important part. Here we'll make 3 decreases in a row, which means combining 2 stitches into 1 single crochet. Here's a little tip. When making decreases, try working only through the front loops. This gives the closing edge a much cleaner and smoother look. Take your time and don't rush. I'll go a little slower here so you can see it more clearly. And that completes 1 decrease. Repeat the decrease 3 times. After finishing the decreases, continue right away with 14 single crochets. Then make 3 more decreases in a row. You'll notice the piece starting to pull inward a little here, and the straight edges are beginning to form a softer curve. Join to the first stitch with a slip stitch. Round 12 is now complete. The opening has become noticeably smaller, and we're back down to 32 stitches. For round 13, we'll continue decreasing, bringing the stitch count down from 32 to 24 stitches. Begin with a turning chain. Right away, make 1 single crochet decrease. Don't forget to place a stitch marker in the stitch after the decrease. Then work 8 single crochets without increasing or decreasing. This section is shorter than the previous round, and you'll start to notice the piece narrowing as you crochet. Now make 4 single crochet decreases in a row. This is the heaviest decrease section in the round, so keep your hands steady and take your time. Then continue with 8 single crochets. At this point, you'll notice the ends of the oval looking much softer and rounder instead of pointed. Finish the round with 3 single crochet decreases in a row. This closes up the remaining space nicely and completes the shape of the round. Remove the stitch marker and join to the first stitch with a slip stitch. Let's count together. You should now have exactly 24 stitches. After finishing round 13, we're left with just 24 stitches. And the opening in the center has become much smaller now. This round is very simple. All we need to do is make 12 decreases in a row. Whenever you see 2 little V-shaped stitches, combine them into 1 single crochet. By the time you work all the way around, you'll have completed 12 decreases. Once you finish, join with a slip stitch, and leave a long yarn tail for sewing later. Now add some stuffing. Just fill it evenly until it feels soft and nicely rounded. Let's start with a magic ring. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Then insert your hook into the center of the ring. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Now chain 1 to secure it. This starting chain does not count as a stitch. Next, work 6 single crochets directly into the ring. As you crochet, hold the ring gently with your fingers so it stays in place. Once all 6 stitches are finished, pull the yarn tail tightly to close the center hole. That completes this round with a total of 6 stitches. Join to the first stitch with a slip stitch, and round 1 is now finished. You can place the yarn tail over the top of your hook while crocheting to hide the tail as you go. For round 2, there are still no increases or decreases, just work 6 single crochets around. Start with a turning chain. This chain does not count as a stitch. Simply repeat 6 single crochets. You can crochet over the yarn tail to hide it as you go. Once you finish crocheting, join with a slip stitch. Chain 1 here, then cut the yarn. You can trim the yarn tail as well, then turn the piece so the right side is facing out. We'll make 2 arms the same way. Next, we'll slowly crochet the legs and body of the doll together. We'll begin with the 2 little legs first. For the legs, we'll also start with a magic ring and work 6 single crochets into it. Start with a turning chain. Remember, the turning chain does not count as a stitch. Place a stitch marker in the first stitch to mark the beginning of the round. Once the 6 single crochets are finished, gently pull the ring closed. Then remove the stitch marker and join to the first stitch with a slip stitch. And that completes round 1 of the leg. Now for round 2, work 2 single crochets, then 1 single crochet increase, followed by 3 single crochets. You should have 7 stitches in total for this round. Start with a turning chain, and once again place a stitch marker in the first stitch. Work 2 single crochets. Then make 1 single crochet increase. Continue with 3 more single crochets. Once you finish, remove the stitch marker and join to the first stitch with a slip stitch. After finishing both rounds, 1 little leg is complete. Make the second leg the exact same way. After cutting the yarn on the first leg, turn the piece so the right side is facing out. Keep the yarn attached to the second leg, because next we'll join the 2 legs together. Chain 2 first. With the right side of the pieces facing you, insert your hook into the slip stitch of the first leg. Hold the yarn tail along the inside of the piece to hide it, then make a slip stitch to join. And now the 2 little legs are nicely connected together. Now we're working round 3. After joining the round, just make 18 single crochets around, with no increases or decreases. Start with a turning chain like usual, then make the first single crochet in the same stitch. Place your stitch marker again here. It just makes the stitches easier to track. Keep crocheting around here. We'll make 7 single crochets first. When you get to the 7th stitch, the join starts feeling a little far away. So we're just going to use a decrease here to help smooth out the spacing a little. Just like this. Start an unfinished single crochet in 1 stitch, then do the same thing in the next stitch. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that brings the stitches together much more smoothly. Once you reach the center between the legs, work into the remaining loops and make 2 single crochets. Now we're at the other leg. The next steps repeat the same way, so just take your time here. Again, at the last stitch, use a decrease here to help shorten the spacing. Once you reach the join again, work into the remaining loops and make 2 single crochets. That finishes round 3. Then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Now we'll start round 4. Begin with a turning chain. Make 3 single crochets first. You can place your stitch marker in the first stitch here. After the 3 single crochets, make 1 increase. Just work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Then continue with 8 single crochets. After that, Make another increase here. We increase at the corners, so the shape curves more smoothly. Then continue with 5 single crochets. Remove the stitch marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch. And that finishes round 4. You should have 20 stitches total. Now we're at round 5. Start with a turning chain, then make 3 single crochets. Place your stitch marker in the first stitch here. It just helps keep track of the stitches. Finish the 3 single crochets. Then work 2 increases here. After that, just continue with 8 single crochets. Then work another 2 increases, the same way. Finish the round with 5 single crochets. And that finishes round 5. You should have 24 stitches total. Starting in round 6, we'll crochet the arms onto the body as we go. Start with 1 single crochet here. You can place your stitch marker in the first stitch. Then work 1 decrease. Now let's start attaching the arm. Insert your hook through the slip stitch area here. Once your hook goes through, just make 2 single crochets here to join the arm onto the body. This part can feel a little tight, so just take your time here. Then go into the second stitch on the arm. And now the arm is connected. Then we'll just keep crocheting around here. Start with 1 decrease. Then make 1 single crochet. Then work another decrease. Continue with 1 single crochet. Just keep repeating the same pattern here. 1 decrease. Then 1 single crochet. Now let's attach the second arm the same way. Again, insert your hook through the slip stitch area to connect it. Make 2 single crochets here. To attach the arm, just make sure your hook goes through both the arm and the body. Then go through the front loops of 2 stitches and work 1 decrease. Then just make 2 single crochets here. Then work 1 decrease. make 1 single crochet in the last stitch, then slip stitch into the first stitch. To join the round, you should still have 24 stitches total. Now we're at round 7. Start with a turning chain like usual. Make 1 single crochet in the first stitch. You can place your stitch marker here. It just helps keep track of the stitches. Next, we'll work 10 decreases. Here there's only 1 stitch left on the body, so for the second stitch, pick up the front loop from the arm. And that finishes 1 decrease, then just keep crocheting around. Now we're at the second decrease. Here there's only 1 stitch left on the arm, so pick up 1 stitch from the body. And now we've finished 3 decreases total. Keep following the same pattern here. We'll make 10 decreases total, and whenever you reach the join between the arm and body, just use the same method we did earlier. After the 10th decrease, you'll still have 1 stitch left. Make 1 single crochet, then slip stitch to join. You should have 12 stitches total. Tighten the slip stitch, chain 1, leave a small yarn tail, then cut the yarn. And now the legs and body are finished. Add some stuffing here and make it nice and full. You can also add stuffing into the small gaps around the arms and legs. Now we'll start attaching the head to the body. Find the center point first, then starting from the slip stitch, count to the 3rd stitch here. Then just sew everything together stitch by stitch. Once everything is sewn together, weave in the yarn tail and trim away the extra yarn. And now the main body is finished. Let's start with the ears first, and we'll make a magic ring here. Wrap the yarn around your pinky, guide it over your index finger. Then wrap it once around your middle finger and hold the crossing point with your thumb. Go into the loop with your hook, pull the yarn through, then yarn over and pull back out. Chain 1 here. This chain doesn't count as a stitch. Then we'll make 6 single crochets into the ring. Go right into the ring, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through both loops to make a single crochet. We're using yarn under single crochets here, and place a stitch marker into the first stitch. Once all 6 stitches are done, gently pull the ring closed. Remove the stitch marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. To make the slip stitch, just go into the stitch here, pull the yarn through, then pull that loop straight through the loop on your hook. And that finishes round 1. Round 2 is just 1 single crochet and 1 increase repeated all the way around for a total of 9 stitches. Chain 1 here, and crochet over the yarn tail as you go. Place the stitch marker back into the first stitch. Make 1 single crochet, then 1 increase with 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And just keep that same pattern all the way around here. Remove the stitch marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. and round 2 is finished, you can trim the extra yarn tail here. For round 3, we'll make 9 single crochets with no increases or decreases, so start with a chain 1 here. Place the stitch marker into the first stitch. Then just make 9 single crochets around. Remove the stitch marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Leave a long yarn tail here, so we can sew the ear later on. Bring the yarn tail through, then flip the ear over so the right side is facing out. Then thread your yarn needle. Once your needle is threaded, we can start sewing here. First find the slip stitch. Find the matching stitch on the opposite side as well, then sew through both stitches here. The side with the slip stitch is the back, and the other side is the front, so fold one ear slightly to the right and the other one slightly to the left before sewing. Both ears should mirror each other here, and you can lightly secure the shape if needed. And the ear is all sewn together now. Make the second ear the same way, then fold one ear to the right and the other to the left so they mirror each other nicely. Next, we'll make the flower decoration. Start with a magic ring using the flower center color and make 5 single crochets into the ring. Chain 1 here. This chain doesn't count as a stitch. Place the stitch marker into the first single crochet. Once all 5 single crochets are finished, gently pull the ring closed. Don't slip stitch yet, just pull the loop a little longer here because we're getting ready to change colors, and we'll use the same color change method throughout the pattern. Go into the 2 loops of the unfinished single crochet, place the new yarn behind the piece, then pull the new yarn through. Bring in the new yarn here, place it behind the piece, then pull the yarn through. Remove the stitch marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Go into the stitch here, then place the new yarn, the old yarn, and the yarn tail over the hook together so we can crochet over them as we go. Pull the yarn through for the slip stitch, then gently tighten it a little. And the color change is finished here. You can trim the extra yarn and leave a small tail. Next, we'll start the flower petals for round 2. Each petal is 1 chain, 2 half double crochets, 1 chain, and 1 slip stitch, all worked into the same stitch, and we'll repeat that 5 times around. Chain 1 here, then yarn over for the half double crochet. Go into the stitch, pull up a loop, then yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Make 1 more half double crochet into the same stitch, chain 1, then slip stitch into that same stitch here, and that finishes 1 petal. Just keep using that same pattern for all 5 petals. Once the yarn tail is crocheted over for a few stitches, you can trim the extra here. Next, we'll chain for the hanging loop. Make around 16 chains here, and you can hold it against the piece to check the length as you go. Trim any extra yarn tails here. Hold the piece up and check the length here, then go into any stitch on one of the petals and make a slip stitch to connect the loop. Chain 1, and cut the yarn here. Leave a small yarn tail for weaving in. Then tighten the loop and hide the yarn tail, and the flower is finished now. Once all the pieces are finished, we can start sewing everything together. Find a nice spot for the ears around the middle of the head. So the ear folded to the right onto the right side, and the ear folded to the left onto the left side so they match each other. Thread a single strand of black yarn onto your needle, find the center of the face, then we'll start sewing the expression here. Thread a single strand of black yarn onto your needle, then we'll start sewing the face here. First, find the center of the face and mark the middle stitch if needed. Go into any nearby stitch here, and leave a small yarn tail instead of pulling the yarn all the way through. Start with the eye first. The eye covers about 2 stitches here, then bring the needle out through any nearby stitch. Next, we'll sew the mouth here, and the mouth also covers about 2 stitches. Bring the needle back out through the same stitch, tie a small knot here, then tuck the yarn back inside the piece. And the face is finished now. Next, we'll add a few little details here. Start by adding some brown shading around the mouth area. Then add a little blush onto the cheeks. And that's it for today. Our little capybara is all finished now. I really hope this little calm buddy brought you a relaxing moment today. If you make one too, I'd absolutely love to see your version. Take your time, crochet at your own pace, and I'll see you in the next one.